All right, this is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today with another exciting episode for you. I'm still here in Houston, and I don't know what area in Houston it is, but it doesn't look like, you know, the best of neighborhoods. But anyways, what I'm going to do today is actually visit the house right behind me, not the one over there with the bananas in the front, but this one behind the white fence there that the door's open that has a red truck. And this is going to be a very interesting episode today, actually. This episode may challenge some of the beliefs you guys have about gardening. And it's challenging some of the beliefs I have about gardening as well. So the guy here, Tino, is actually from Greece, and he's been growing since he was a little kid. He's been actually on this property about for the last 4 to 5 years when he's been actually growing food here. And he does things a little bit differently. Let me tell you the story actually. So I first met Tino when I was actually at the farm dirt compost place, and the guy there introduced me to him. He's like, you got to meet this guy. And I was like driving off, and I was kind of in a rush because I had to, like, you know, get back to what I'm doing. And he's like trying to tell me all this stuff. And he's like, you're gardening wrong. You don't need to add all the minerals. You don't need to add the fertilizer. You don't need to grow in a raised bed. It's all wrong. And I'm like, whoa, this guy's pretty interesting. But, you know, I'm always open. Like, even if somebody doesn't agree with me, that's fine. I know a lot of you guys may watch my videos. You may not agree with everything I believe in, and that's fine. I'm just sharing my beliefs. Whether you want to believe what I believe, that's up to you guys, right? Totally up to you guys. But what I do like to do is I like to show many different styles of gardening so that you guys could do whatever you want to do, right? There's many kinds of gardening. I'm never going to say, well, this kind of gardening is the right way, this is the wrong way. Depending on your particular situation, there are definitely better or worse ways to do it. So actually in this situation where we are here in Houston with the given soil here, with the given climate, Tino's definitely figured out a way you know, to garden and grow some food actually with minimal inputs. And okay, so that was the first time I saw Tino, and then I drove off. He gave me maybe he didn't give me his contact info, and I'm like, all right, maybe I'll run into that guy later. As luck turns out, today I was actually at the farmer's market, and he had a stand there. He was selling all kinds of plant starts, and actually he had the cheapest price for lettuce and other leafy greens at the market. It was like $5 for a nice size flat of lettuce and other mixed greens that he was offering. So we got to talking again. I'm like, hey, what are you doing this afternoon? He's like, nothing. I'm like, good. Can I come over and I want to see what you're doing and make a video? So that's why I'm making a video for you guys to show you guys actually what he's doing, because he believes in, you know, gardening on the free and cheap. And I know this is an episode a lot of you guys have been wanting for a long time, gardening on the free and cheap. Like, John, you don't got to waste money on that rock dust. You don't got to buy all these worm castings. You don't got to buy all these things to garden. You could garden on the free and cheap, and it's not that hard. So I mean, I don't want to say that Tino's doing it entirely free. There's a few things he brings in, but he actually brings in very few inputs for the impressive growth that he has, and he does a lot of things himself and builds things, and he has a lot of techniques that I'm only going to get to show you guys maybe a few of them today, that actually, and practices that he's done and learned over time by actually making mistakes. And that's why making mistakes is really good, because when you make when you make a mistake, right, you learn how successfully not to do something. So hopefully next time you'll do it a little bit better. And he's actually even invented his own tools to do some of the things you know, that he does, that I'll get to show you guys, that actually is quite impressive. Actually, that helped me out. It's something I'll be able to use now to save immense amounts of time. But yeah, he's definitely an interesting guy, and he's from Greece. And so I'm going to call this episode the Big Fat Greek Vegetable Garden episode. So let's go head behind the doors and show you guys what's going on over here. So now we're at the gate for Tino's place here. And as you guys can see, he's got a nice white painted fence all the way around his property. This is not maybe the nicest of areas, so actually building a fence around your property, if you're able to do that, because I know in some places you're not able to do that, probably a really good idea, right? It keeps like stray animals and people from picking your stuff, but more importantly, it also offers you guys some protection from some of the elements, from some of the strong winds. He's blocking the wind with having a solid fence. Of course, you could grow your own fence too, with many different plants, and have trees and different things growing so tightly close together, which would be my first choice, rather than having just a fence that's sitting here. Grow a living fence that's actually gonna dig their roots into the soil and create further soil fertility. Any case, let's go beyond this fence and actually see what he's got going on. All right, so now let's walk into the yard here, and as you guys can see, there's stuff growing everywhere. Basically, he has some really long raised beds. He has lots of food growing in all these raised beds, and each bed is just a little bit different, but he does have some things that he does you know, in all of them for sure. And as you guys can see, he also has a lot of plant starts. This is the back of his truck. He just got back from the farmer's market. These are all the vegetable starts he sells at the farmer's market. And this cooler right here, he basically just harvested just part of his bed, and it was like just full last night, and he sold most of it at the farmer's market. Now he has just some left over to eat for salads for himself. But you know, all that actually came from this bed over here that he just clipped out. And I'm looking at it, and you could tell he clipped some stuff out, but there's still so much more food in this bed. So he says here, this bed that's about 45 feet long, maybe 4 feet wide, could feed about 5 people. So a family of 5, all the salad greens and greens they would want. So I know a lot of you guys may have the space to do this. Now let's see, he has other beds over here. This time of year, you know, in December, he's growing lettuce primarily and some other leafy greens, dandelions, onions, some brassica family plants. And over on this side, he has all his nursery starts that he's offering to people. And if he doesn't sell them, then he ends up planting them in his garden. So every gardener that I meet, there's things that we as gardeners can agree on, and then of course there's things that we may not agree on, or maybe have differences of opinions on. And that's all right. We're not going to start World War III because we think that we should garden differently. That's all right. We can learn from each other. And I want to encourage you guys in this episode to like pick out the bits of things in this episode that's going to enhance your garden, and maybe even challenge your gardening style to even adjust it and make changes to improve what you're doing. And you know, maybe you believe in what I'm going to share with you guys today, maybe you don't. That's all right. I don't really care. But I want you guys to experiment, right? Try some of the beds, how he's growing it. See if in your exact environment it actually grows better, or maybe it's going to grow worse, you know, than your currently existing raised beds with sides. Anyways, one of the things that we both agree on here, Tino and me, is this guy, this rotor tiller, right? He bought this, he used it a long time ago, but he no longer uses the tiller unless it's just maybe to clean up some of the in between the raised beds, but he does not till the soil. He believes in a no-till method. This is very critical to both my style of gardening and Tino's style of gardening. You know, when you start disturbing the soil, you lose fertility, you lose microbial life in there, and these are the two things that we're trying to enhance with our gardening styles. Next, I want to show you guys something else actually that he used to do that he actually gave up. That's maybe not exactly in agreement with me, but that's all right, because everybody has their own way of gardening. So one thing Tino doesn't do is he doesn't create compost tea. He just simply doesn't believe in it. He tried it. He has a barrel here and whatnot and all the hoses, and he used to create the compost tea, but he didn't really see a difference, you know, with it. So he just basically discontinued the practice. And you know, I would say that maybe under ideal situations when you got actually enough soil microbes in your garden, you may not need to use the compost tea. You know, I believe personally in a diversity of microbes that, you know, can only be more beneficial than not having them. But of course, things are going to grow with or without compost tea. Things are going to grow with or without things like the rock dust, like that I like to add. He doesn't even add the rock dust, doesn't believe in it, and believes you guys are wasting your money on the rock dust, and that's cool. You know, we're going to have a conversation about that at the end of this. You know, he believes that all the nutrients are in the soil, and I agree. There's definitely nutrients in the soil, you know, and from what it looks like, things are growing really good. But I kind of wonder on like the nutritional quality of the produce that is being grown. Aside from just looking good, you know, if we did a breakdown of the nutrients in there, what would that look like? So that's where I think it would be quite interesting to compare lettuce out of my garden, for example, compare lettuce out of his garden, and kind of see where the nutrition falls. And if the nutrition falls better in his favor, maybe I'll abandon what I'm doing. I don't know. But I don't know, because, you know, the thing for me is like one of my main values with gardening is like I almost lost my life, right? I had a major health condition, and I'm totally, one of the main reasons why I'm gardening is to grow the highest quality food, or what I believe to be the highest quality food. And that's what I've gone out and learned how to do. And that's what I share with you guys when I'm at my garden. But when I come to somebody else's garden, they might not have the same ideals as me. They might not have almost lost their life from a health condition. You know, they might not value their health as much as I do. So they just want to grow food on the free or cheap, and that's more important to them. And that's cool. You know, like I'm not going to tell you guys your values. I'm going to tell you that, you know, in my opinion, your life is the most valuable thing you guys own in the world, free and clear. And, you know, if you do things like smoking and maybe like eat too many processed foods and junk foods, you know, that's going to put your health in the toilet. And I don't choose to do that, but if you guys want to do that, that's up to you. I don't really care. Anyways, let's show another thing that actually both Tino and I both agree on. So now I'm inside Tino's house, and it's a really just, small house. Actually, he said he converted his garage, that was his garage, into his living space. And actually, the garden area that you guys just saw, he actually tore down a duplex that was outside. It was here like 100 years, so it was probably about time to either refurb it or tear it down. And he tore it down because he wanted to use a space instead of living for gardening, and then just grow in and actually live in a much smaller space. So his garden is actually about 5,000 square feet, and his living space, I don't know, probably takes up the rest of the plot, maybe, I don't know, 3,000 square feet less, just the walkways around the house or whatnot. So, I want to encourage you guys to, he lives a minimalist lifestyle. He doesn't have much. He has a little bathroom, a little living area with a kitchen and a bedroom and stuff. And I think, we've gotten too opulent in America, and all these super huge houses, 2,000, 4,000 square feet. And how much do you really use? How much do you really need? It's just more space to fill up with junk you don't need. Anyways, one of the things he does here in his kitchen is actually he stores all his seeds. So on the top shelf there, you guys can see all the containers of seeds that he saves every year. So actually, most of the things that he grows is actually from seeds that he saves. Of course, yes, he buys some seeds to get him started, but once he buys the seed once, he grows that plant out to fruition, saves the seeds, and then he stores them up there, and then he grows them out the following year. One of the things that actually he grows that's quite good is actually he'll go and buy produce from the store, and then he'll plant it. So he's done this with green onions, and he found that green onions planted from the store didn't work so well. Instead, what he found were these guys. These are like the little baby onions. They're called the pearl onions. And he likes these little pearl onions because he'll just take these little pearl onions that are like a couple bucks per bag, and there's lots of these little onions in here that most people might boil and eat or however they eat them. But he just takes these guys and he grows them out. So now you just got, I don't know, at least like several dozen plants for $2.50. And he says these guys actually grow better than the green onions with the roots on them. So yeah, so he definitely cuts a lot of costs. He's not growing on the total free, but he's really doing it on the cheap. So there's two main ways that Tino starts his seeds from, and these are the two ways that I use as well, and would encourage you guys to use, right? Number one, he does direct seeding. Depending on what plant it is, he may direct seed them into his raised bed, and that's what I'm going to show you guys now. So he has a special technique for doing that to preserve more soil moisture and to conserve water. He uses city water here. I think he should probably maybe catch some water off his roof and whatnot to use that when he is able. But he uses city water, and he only uses as much water as he needs to. He doesn't like to use any excess water. And one of his beliefs is that you got to let plants fend for themselves. If you water your plants too much, they're going to be weak, they're going to be lazy, their roots are not going to grow deep and seek out the water they need, as well as other nutrients in the soil they need to fully thrive. And overall, actually, I do agree with that. I think that's a good idea not to overwater your plants, and many people tend to overwater their plants, which is definitely not a good thing in my opinion. And of course, it's not good to underwater your plants either. Anyways, as you guys can see, he's got one of his raised beds here. Now, here's the thing. His raised beds, he does not have any sides on them. He does not believe in putting sides on your raised beds, because when you put a side on the raised beds, it may, increase your temperature a little bit, which is a pro. But he says the major con is once it starts getting hot, the sun will hit the sides of your raised beds. It'll heat up the soil. It'll cause more moisture loss inside the raised bed, which means you're going to have to water more, which means when you're watering more, you're going to be leaching more nutrients out of your soil. And then it's just a cycle. So instead of having sides on his beds, he just basically has a sloped raised bed that actually he fills up with plants, so that the plants could cover the soil, and he could actually grow more food in less space than having the sides. Another thing about Tino is that he's learned very specific techniques that he does to start things from seed, to start things from transplants, to transplant things. And I'm probably not going to be able to share with you guys all his techniques in this episode, but I'm going to share a few of them as much as I am able to retain and remember, which hopefully is in line with what he shared with me. So to start his seeds, basically he waters the soil or the ground where he's going to be planting. He then sprinkles the seeds down all over, and then I think he maybe waters a little bit more, and then he puts the plastic over the top, this clear kind of plastic. And if we pull this up a little bit, you guys probably can't see underneath there too much, but some of the seeds underneath here are actually starting to germinate out. You know, when he puts the clear plastic over the soil, it holds the moisture in, so it provides a nice place for the seeds to germinate, number one. Number two, it keeps the pests like birds that might come down and eat your seeds away. Number three, it also keeps the ants and whatnot away, because he does have ant problems here with the seeds and the ants and all this kind of stuff. So it's basically covering the soil and protecting the soil. Now here's the thing, he only will do this technique if it's under 80 degrees in the daytime. If it's over 80, he's not going to use this, because then you're going to end up burning the soil. This also keeps, you know, the soil a bit warmer so that the seeds will have a nicer time to germinate, because some seeds don't like to germinate when it's too cold. Probably a challenge that a lot of you guys are having right now, because it's probably still winter time. But yeah, here in Houston, really nice day today. We're in the 70s and we're here in December. So yeah, that's how he gets all this started. And this is just one of the ways he does it. Let me go ahead and show you guys after he does this how the all the seedlings look in the raised bed. So as you guys can see, here's the bed behind me here, and this is one that he actually used the same technique that I showed you. It was done, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, and it looks like he's got some amazing growth, and he just literally threw out all the seeds. Here we have some spinach, and you know, it's growing really tightly and next to each other. As you guys can see, also the lettuce behind me, it's also growing really tight and all next to each other, right? To him, there's no such thing as planting things too closely, but there is a problem with planting things too far apart. So I do encourage you guys, it's, in my opinion, and probably Tino's as well, it's better to plant things too closely than too far apart, so that you're covering the soil. Plus, you know, the things that is actually planted too closely, to him, that's a good thing, because guess what? He'll come over and he'll pluck the things that are too close out of the bed, and then he'll transplant those into the 6-packs, which then is an income or revenue stream for him to make. He could also pull those up and just clip them, cut them back, and eat them, and then let the other ones around him grow. So basically, he's just growing more food in less space. This is actually quite intelligent. The other thing about this is that, you know, he doesn't add on any large amounts, any kind of compost or worm castings or rock dust or even any fertilizers, right? He's just growing in the dirt that's sitting here, right? And in my opinion, that's good and it's bad. I mean, we need to remember that, you know, depending on where you live, your soil could vary widely. You could actually be lucky and live in a place that has fertile soil. You could also be unlucky and maybe live in a place that maybe doesn't have the best of soil. Where I'm sitting right now is actually underneath where his house used to sit. There was a house here, he tore it out. You know, the house was here for 100 years, so the soil underneath the house has been basically covered for 100 years, and then he uncovered it. It probably hasn't been, you know, contaminated too much with all kinds of stuff, and so it's actually fairly fertile, and he's, you know, built it up over time, because the fact of the matter is there is organic matter in most soils, and here he has a clay soil, so you know, it actually does and is actually quite nutritious if it you know, doesn't get waterlogged. And actually that's why we're sitting right now on these 4x4s that actually is as walkways, because when it rains in here you get caked on the mud. But yeah, so yeah, it looks like things are growing really good in here. And next I want to show you guys another technique he uses in his raised beds to grow more food in less space. So another technique he uses besides planting things super close and super densely is he actually does companion style planting, and he plants more than just one thing in a bed sometimes. You know, you guys saw where he had just mostly lettuce and spinach, but even in that bed, you know, every so many feet he actually had an eggplant little baby that's going to be growing up for the next season after his lettuce or spinach is done. And in this bed, this is more of a cut and come again bed. He has things like the beets, he has fennel, he has cilantro, he has some parsley, he has lettuce, all different kinds of stuff. And as you guys could see in the video there, this is really filled in really nicely. It's like totally packed with plants. And he's proud of this fact, and actually I was like, yeah, this is quite impressive. I like how he's really densely seeded things, and they basically have to outcompete themselves. And they just basically grow, and you know, what he's gonna do, he's gonna come in here, and some of the bigger plants he might actually just cut out, and then those are the ones that he's gonna take to market, those are the ones that he's gonna eat, and then all the other ones are basically just gonna fill in the space that was now created when he did cut one out. In addition, you know, he's planted things so closely and just basically threw seeds down that some of the seeds are coming up. So now there's new seedlings that are this small coming up in between the lettuces. So when he cuts down some of them, the new ones that are just emerging are now gonna get larger. So I mean, I think this is a technique that we can all learn and benefit from, you know, especially if you're trying to grow in the free and cheap. You could maximize your space, maximize the diversity for the most amount of yields. Now, up until now, you guys saw how basically he seeds his beds out and grows from seeds in place. And now I want to share with you guys another way to do it. And you know, direct seed or planting from transplants, they both have their pros and cons. I like to personally do a little bit of each. And as it looks like here, so does Tino. So now I wanted to show you guys just maybe a few more techniques he does actually on my way to showing you guys the other way he starts the seeds out. These are his raised beds here. And as you guys can see, the soil is just mounted up to the sides, and he's got things growing up the sides so that it just doesn't come to an edge where he's not planting. It kind of slopes down mildly, and he's been planting onions and different lettuces right down the side so that they'll actually fill in. So he'll have a nice little narrow pathway in the middle. That would probably be a good idea to maybe do something like wood chips in between so you don't get all muddy. Also, the wood chip is going to break down over time, create more fertility. But anyways, he has all this stuff. Here's you know, the eggplant like I talked about, planted within the lettuce, and also there's those little onion sets that I showed you guys earlier, or the little bulbs in between here. Over on this side, he has lots of different varieties of lettuces, including some of my favorite lettuces, those really dark, rich lettuces that are deeply pigmented, right? I want to encourage you guys to eat deeply pigmented lettuce and other foods because they're higher in antioxidants. So yeah, and this is like some of them really, this bed just really looks nice. He has like so much food here, and I'm glad that he's probably one of the lowest priced sellers at the farmer's market for your greens. And by the looks of his greens, they're all quite healthy and probably ones that you would want to buy yourself if you're not growing them yourself here in Houston. He uses all organic methods. He doesn't spray any kind of chemicals and all this kind of stuff. And actually, he's getting some really superb results. So another way besides direct seeding his plants, sometimes they'll actually start them in these little flats. You know, these are not plastic nursery flats. These are wooden flats that actually he made himself out of some 2x4 and actually some, looks like 1x6 fence posts, like cedar fence posts potentially. And that's some good wood to use because it's gonna last a bit longer than just a pine or something. But these are nice, durable and stout. So basically he fills up this little container with a specific soil blend that I'll share with you guys next, and then he basically grows his transplants. But to do that, he does it in a few special ways to ensure he gets higher germination, because once again, he doesn't want the water to dry out. He wants the proper moisture level. This is very important to him to have a proper moisture level, and also more importantly, properly washed soil. So the way that Tino starts his plants from the seed in the little containers are, he basically makes a little mini greenhouse for them. And it's really simple. It's just this, once again, that clear plastic that he likes so much. And you guys can see, we'll go ahead and remove the plastic from here. And underneath here, you guys can see all his little baby starts that are growing that he says that took like 4 days. These guys are ready to have the plastic taken off them because they're getting so tall. And that's another thing I want to point out, right? Tino does certain things for a certain reason. If you guys looked when I showed you guys these bins, the side of the bins are made out of 2x4s, but the ends, but then the sides are actually made out of 2x6s, and they're taller. This gives him about that much space so that when he lays the plastic on top, it's not dragging on the top of the soil, so that gives the plants just a little bit amount of space to grow up. Once the plants almost touch the plastic, then that's time for the plastic to come off, because otherwise the plants will start to bend, and he doesn't want that at all. And yeah, he keeps a nice little humid area for the plants to germinate, so this saves water, also creates a nice environment. You know, he's also right now seeding out some tomatoes, which generally like to you know, germinate when it's warmer out. And by using this technique, he gets to warm up the soil so that his tomato seeds can germinate here in Houston, even in December. So now I want to share with you guys a special soil blend that Tino uses to start his transplants in that I didn't get to show you guys yet. This is the only time that actually he brings in some soil, but he also creates some that I'll show you guys in a minute to start his transplants in. He puts no coconut coir, no peat moss, none of this stuff, right? He doesn't believe in it, right? And he's got a pretty good system down. I mean, what he's doing is for the transplants is amazing. He's got some of the healthiest transplants that I've actually seen. One of the things I learned is to cover your wheelbarrow, right? To cover the soil in the wheelbarrow from the sun, the rain, and all this kind of stuff. That's something I actually need to do. And this actually makes a nice little work table or work surface for you all too. So anyways, let's go ahead and move this off. And as you guys can see in here, he's got some really nice, rich, black soil. And one of his secrets is he sifts this down to 1/4 inch. So he buys some compost from a certain place, or maybe he gets the farm dirt compost sometimes. He sifts it down, and then he adds in some of his super potent compost that he's making right behind in a way that I've actually never seen before, which is going to be good for you guys to see. But yeah, the soil is nice and filtered down, nice screened out. He has no big, large chunks of stuff. That's very important. And when I smell it, it actually has a nice, mild, neutral smell. Looks like some really good stuff. And this is what he starts all his transplants in. Now I know some of you guys might be thinking, John, that's a really rich mixture if he's growing in all compost, because they say don't grow in compost. You know, they say use a sterile soil medium. But you know, one of the things that he does actually, once he puts this in a little 6-pack or tray, he'll take the hose and he'll actually wash out, like if you put coffee in a coffee maker, the water goes through and leaches all the nutrients out of the coffee to put it in your glass that you drink, right? He actually waters this compost down, and there's like basically it's really brown and dark coming off. And he does this for quite a while, depending on if the plant's more mature or less mature. If the plant's more mature, they can handle a little bit stronger mix. But if the plant's a baby, then he wants to kind of water a lot of the nutrients out of the plant, because he says it might shock the plant. So yeah, so anyways, this mixture is mostly the stuff that he bought and brought in, and the other stuff is what I'm going to show you guys next. Now, the reason why he does this is a principle that I actually also agree with, and why he treats his baby plants and his baby vegetables so well is because this, right? The most important time to determine the health of a plant over its lifespan is when it's a baby. If it had a rough time when it was a baby, if you're buying it from transplants from a nursery that the roots are wrapping around the base and basically the plant is root bound, or if you're buying plants that aren't so healthy, right? Those plants will not really ever turn out to their full genetic potential. They won't ever produce a lot of food, right? Because they've already had hard times. They've already been stressed out. If, like, you know, I have friends that have been yelled at as a kid, or maybe you know, God forbid, beaten as a children, and sometimes, like, you know, they have some issues when they grow older. Now, hopefully people can get counseling and stuff like that, but plants can't get counseling. So you want to start them off and give them the best environment, the best upbringing possible, whether you direct seed them or whether you start them from transplants. And that's actually one of the things he's doing here. You know, he strives to have the highest quality baby plants, because in the end, that's going to mean he's going to have higher quality, better, tastier, large plants. And that's actually something that's not actually often talked about, unfortunately, in gardening. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at this unique way he's making compost that I've never even seen before or even could have imagined. So I know what you guys might be thinking, John, what does that guy Tino have these big ass things in his yard? All right, is he a junk collector? Well, actually, he has a few things kind of laying around like I do, but actually it's pretty neat and tidy around here. These guys may seem a little bit out of place and look off, but actually they serve a very important purpose, because instead of having a tumbling composter like I did, right, he's repurposing something he got for free or cheap that often gets thrown out, and I believe is a waste to throw these guys out, because he's found an excellent use of them. He used to work in you know, refrigeration and all this kind of stuff. What these two things are these are the ice makers. These are those big industrial ice makers that you might see, and on the top there that have all that, you know, machinery and equipment, but the bottom is basically just an insulated, you know, frame that actually keeps the temperature regulated, so it keeps it cold inside there. Also has a nice little lid here that can be open and closed. So when he's ready to harvest his compost, he just opens up this lid, right? And all his compost by gravity just drops to the bottom in here. So he has some really nice, rich stuff. Now, he's not using traditional composting like with worms. No, no, no. He's not using traditionally composting that composts with heat, actually. What he's doing is something unique and different, and basically what he's doing is he's just modeling nature. He's speeding up the process, and he's providing a home or a habitat for the creatures that live inside his ice box compost bins, right? And let me go ahead and show you guys what some of them look like. All right, so each of these ice makers, bottoms anyways, are at different stages. You know, the one on the other side is the stuff he's harvesting from. This is the stuff he's kind of like letting digest and compost, or more importantly, break down over time. I like this one because it still has a little window here that you could actually just go in, and that you could actually see all the materials that he's been stacking up. So basically it's open on the top. He basically puts in, you know, old okra twigs, you know, food scraps, you know, yard waste and things, and basically just funnels down. And you know, on the top there's not a lot of living material. It's kind of like a lot of dry, but this is the insulation level. And as he packs more stuff on the top, all the stuff kind of works down at its own pace and breaks down. You know, here you could see some of the stuff that's like not really broken down, but in here there's like a little area that we could actually just dig into, and you can see this stuff is getting broken down. And let me go ahead and open the door to show you guys what's breaking this organic material down. All right, so this is the ice maker that's still in process, not yet ready to be harvested. We'll open this guy up for you guys. And look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that on the HD camera, but just in this ice bin thing here, I see all these little creatures. And actually when I opened the door up, they all like went into little like caves inside all this compost. You know, what these little creatures are, I see like roly-polies, I see cockroaches, and who knows what other kind of bugs are living in here. He didn't add these bugs in here. They just showed up, right? You provide food for the bugs, they're gonna show up and they're gonna chow down, right? You have a big table of tropical fruit, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna eat it all. And that's what the bugs are doing. He's providing a nice home for them. They show up and they basically eat all the organic material, and then they poop it out, which is creating a really rich nutrition for his plants. You know, the bugs and things will basically break down the organic matter, and then when they poop out, they're pooping out actually some of the richest biology, you know, so they could be pooping out fungus or fungi, bacteria, fungi, and different chitinase degraders, cellulase degraders, and all these things. It's kind of like, you know, they have worm castings, which we know is so good. They also have mealworm castings, which is so good. And they also have other excrements from bugs that, you know, in the forest, on the forest floor, you just see all these bugs scurrying around and eating all the different organic matter. Well, hey, he's just doing it in a more contained space. So this is actually, instead of a worm bin, it's actually just a bug bin, using just the local bugs to break down his nutrients. This is something that's not really even talked about, right? And I think this is a really good way to do it. I mean, they have black soldier flies and all these different bugs, but you know, in my garden, actually, just in my garden, I have a lot of the little pill bugs or whatever, and they're just breaking down the leaf material and organic matter actually in my beds. So actually, I don't even have to have a bin. And you know, some of those bugs also, if they're in your gardens, may not be a good thing. They may also chomp on your young plants if you don't have a lot of good organic matter. So this may be a better option. So, you know, I like that he's doing this to create a really rich mix. So he uses some of this stuff with some of the botch stuff to start off his transplants. So I'm really glad I came to visit Tino today, because one of the areas that actually I haven't been maybe the most successful at as a gardener is actually starting transplants. So he has a system down totally to get really good transplants. These are some of the healthiest transplants I've seen of all the places I've visited. Like, he plants them really dense, and then actually he plucks them out as he needs them. So right here we have basically the some celery that he planted, and as you guys can see in this half right here, it's pretty thinned out because he's plucking all the large ones, and it's the large ones that actually he takes out of here. he could either put them into little 6 packs like he's just done with these guys, and then sell them. And then if they don't sell, then he plants them in his garden. Or he could actually just take these out and just pop them in his garden. So he's going to be actually starting, he's doing some beets right now. He's going to pop out the beets and then put them in his garden to grow the beets, because he found that, if you just direct seed the beets, they don't come up so well. But if you put them in here first, then they work a lot better. So, you're only going to learn this by maybe reading things online or trying yourself to see what works or not, right? I always encourage you guys to try to make your gardening life easier and work less, right? So if you could direct seed things, hey, that's always the best, because that's going to be the least amount of effort. If you got to transplant and do all this kind of stuff, it's a bit more effort, but if it allows you to grow more food, it's definitely worth it. So yeah, so what he did here was he was just coming over and he's just popping out some of these guys, and he waters these guys, and he just will pop out the little roots there like that and take this little transplant, and then he'll actually put it in to a 6-pack or maybe even a 72-pack and make those available to people. Now the next thing I want to show you is actually, once he popped these guys out, I want to show you guys his technique he uses, where he can actually transplant up to 2,000 plants in one day just by himself, which to me is amazing, because I transplant stuff all the time and I'm really slow, because I don't have his technique down. So I'm going to basically take his technique that he uses for transplants and run with it, because it's actually quite intelligent and actually quite smart, and he's actually even invented his own tool to do it. So let's take a look at that next. So now I want to show you guys the first step to transplanting. Basically what he did was he took his 6-pack here, and he's actually using nice size 6-packs. I encourage you guys always, when you're purchasing 6-packs, if you're going to be using them, is to try to buy the ones that actually hold the most soil. Some of them are long and skinny, and in my opinion, those aren't that good. We want to have lots of soil in there. So anyways, he filled up this with the soil mixture from the wheelbarrow that I showed you guys earlier, and then he washes it down. It's a very important step, right? You could do it with a little hose. So he just does it with a hose to spray this down gently, and basically he lets the water soak all the way through. So now, number one, you're gonna have really nice, rich soil that's fully watered, but you're not just gonna plant in it when there's still water on top. You're gonna wanna give it some time to let the water drain out. And if you guys look at the water coming out, I can see the water, even though the ground's like dirt, I can see the water that's coming out looks like that coffee. We're leaching some of the nutrients out, or the tea out of the compost onto the ground. And he'll do this several times to bring it down to the level where he feels comfortable, and then plant his plants in that, right? And as I said, if the plants are younger, then he's gonna rinse it more, and if the plant's a little bit bigger, then he doesn't rinse it as much. But this is a critical step to plant in 100% straight, screened compost, which is, goes against many gardeners' styles, which say, oh, you got to use a sterile medium, because if you use compost, it could cause problems. But all his stuff's looking great. So he's doing a lot of things that maybe go against conventional gardening wisdom, and I would encourage you guys to try it, see what happens. So now I want to show you guys Tino's revolutionary planting technique that even enlightened me, actually. So as you guys can see, we've actually already rinsed the soil out, and it's drained fairly well. Most of it's drained pretty well, except for these two cells. And so that's very important, right? One of the most important things he stresses is you want to have well draining soil. If the soil is not draining and it stays wet, right, you're going to rot out your plant's roots. And he has a high probability of success. Not to say that he doesn't lose a couple plants sometimes because of, whatever happens, but he does things to ensure his success of his baby plants. So the first step is, once you rinse it all out, you're gonna have your little transplants here that you basically just plucked up. So the first step is you're just gonna put them in a wash, right? You're just gonna dunk them in some water. We dunk them in some water, and we bring them out. Check it out. The roots are now all together. Whereas before, the roots were kind of really bushy. So that's very important, number one. Number two, he has a special screwdriver. So this is not just any screwdriver. He took a standard screwdriver here and took a special file. I think he used maybe a chainsaw file, and he basically just put a notch in the tip of the screwdriver. And this is very important, not to put a point in, but it's a kind of a rounded notch. So there's no, sharp edges on the screwdriver that's gonna cut the roots of the plants you're transplanting. Then all he does is he takes the little plant here, and he goes down maybe a little bit above halfway, right? Because basically his whole goal is to get this roots in the little cell as quickly and efficiently as possible. And so he'll put this down, and sometimes he'll like form a little figure 8, you know, to get it, if the root's really long, then he'll take the little screwdriver and the little tip there, and then he'll put that in the root, so I'll kind of like line it up like this, kind of like right about maybe there. And then basically he'll push this down in one fall swoop, and then basically he's now planted the plant. The other thing, at the same time when he's going down, he'll kind of like leave a little bit of a hole, you know, as he comes down. What that little hole is going to do, that's going to ensure the water directs down, and also it's going to funnel the water down so that it drains faster. This is another critical component if you're growing in straight compost, because I've seen sometimes a compost will not drain, and then you're going to get waterlogged, and that's why many people use, or growers use, peat moss, because it's basically gives you a larger method of air, larger you know, probability of air, or like a cushion basically. Whereas this way you got to be more precise, and so, you know, with this like literally hundreds of plant starts over there, it looks like he's pretty much precise every time. So yeah, this is something that's going to save me a lot of time, because normally I would have just took these guys and try to plant these with all the roots just hanging out, but just by simply dunking them in water and having a little screwdriver thing that you're going to go ahead and go down. And let me go ahead and maybe give you guys a close-up on this, because it's kind of cool. We're going to go ahead and put this down, and he basically sometimes like loops this around a little bit. Let's see if we could, sometimes he just loops this around a little bit, makes a little U out of it, or a circle, and then he just shoves this all down just like that. And this took me a couple times to figure out how to do it, but now, you know, I think you'd probably approve of my technique. But yeah, he just does whole little 6-packs like this. And actually, here's one that he did so you guys could see what it looks like. So next one I want to show you guys is actually after he pots those up, kind of like this. He's potted them all up. These are kind of sitting out. And depending on how large they are, he'll either put them in the shade, like if they're just transplanted out, or sometimes he'll put them in an area with the sun, and he'll rotate this depending on his specific desires for the plant. If the plant's getting too big, he wants the growth to slow down, he'll put it in the shade. If he wants it to grow faster and get topped off and looking nice for market, he may put him in the sun. That's very important. The other thing is, sometimes instead of doing the 6-packs, he'll also do, you know, large flats of 72. So look at this. This is like a really nice flat of lettuce here. And he'll even take, sometimes if one's maybe not performing, underperforming, it's too small, he'll put in a larger one so that, you know, they're all consistent size. So you're going to get some of the best plant starts. You know, I popped up some of these roots in some of these guys. Maybe like we'll do it on some of these guys right here. Let's see. Look at this. Here's one of the starts he did, and look at that. If you guys notice, there's no roots up near the top because he sunk this down in the ground, you know, when he's transplanting. All the roots are at the bottom, and these roots are not wrapping around each other yet. He'll also even come in and root prune these guys sometimes if the roots are getting too much, so that they actually don't get root bound, so that when you guys take his plant starts home, you're gonna get some amazing results like he's getting in his garden here. And you know, his prices are actually quite affordable. Some of the best prices I've seen in Houston, like if you're getting like just a standard 6-pack, it's like $250 for a healthy 6-pack. That's very important. If you guys want to buy, you know, a whole flat, basically he'll give you a whole flat of 6-packs for, I think, around 12 bucks. And if you're buying a thing of 72, you got the hookup deal, 20 bucks, right? And if you buy like 5 flats of 72 plants like this, it'll even go down further. So, you know, I encourage you guys, if you guys are not starting your plant starts yourself and you live here in the Houston area, definitely call them up, and it'll hook you up with some of the healthiest plant starts and the lowest prices that I've seen. I mean, if I lived here, I'd definitely be getting some of the 72 packs. You know, it's definitely an easy way to go, because you're gonna have a higher level of success when you guys start out with healthy plants like he's making here. I think the last part of this episode, I'd like to actually sit down with Tino. He is from Greece originally, so he has a thick accent, so maybe hard for you guys to listen to him. So I'll try to do the best I can to maybe help him explain what he's trying to say, and I hope as soon as I am able to also get subtitles on this for you guys. So now I'm here with Tino, the gardener extraordinaire that has created this paradise here in Houston with all his amazing plants that actually he doesn't add any fertilizers to and all his amazing transplants that you guys saw, just a few of them. I mean, it's just impressive the amount of healthy transplants he has going. I only have a limited amount of time left here today before I actually have to take off, but I want to ask him a few questions about his garden and why he chooses to grow all this food here for him and his family. So Tino, the first question is, why are you growing all this food here, especially where your duplex used to be on your property?
Because I like to grow, and I can't eat all these. Just some of myself, some I give away, and I like to grow. I like gardening. That's all I do. It's not the money. It's no. You know. I like what I'm doing.
Yeah, so I mean, he just basically loves gardening, and I mean, I love gardening. I mean, it's good to get out in nature and have a hobby. That's a productive hobby, and actually, his hobby is quite productive. Produces hundreds of plant starts, even thousands of plant starts for his garden, and also you guys in the local area. So another thing I want to talk to you guys about, Tino, is that something I didn't get to mention in the video that was important to me that I didn't get to talk about is, you know, another aspect of your gardening on the free or cheap, aside from not bringing many inputs in, is how you communicate with the plants. This is something I do myself, and I know you also do. So you want to talk a little bit about talking and, more importantly, listening to your plants and how important it is for your gardening style?
The plants, you can watch them, and they tell you a story. Like they tell you if you pay attention to them, they tell you like how can I explain that? I don't know how to explain that. It's little hard to explain that.
Can you explain it in Greek? Or
no.
Your language, your native language?
No. They tell you what they need. Just look at them. You see how they're going. You see how they. They tell you a story, the whole story, how they're going, what they need, how they can be better, how they can. It's very simple, but it's very complicated. You know, it can be very complicated for a lot of people and very simple for some others. And I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, so I stumped him. He's having a hard time explaining it, but I'll try to do my best. So basically, he's saying every plant will tell a story, and you need to listen to the plant. And I know, you know, I would call Tino here a plant whisperer, like they have dog whisperers and all these things. He knows plants, and you could listen to the plants and hear, maybe not hear what they're saying, but you could kind of feel their vibe. I mean, we are all interconnected on this planet, and we sometimes forget that. And you need to open up to being able to listen more, you know? I mean, that's one of the things that I learned is to become a better speaker, you need to become a better listener. So I encourage all you guys to listen to your garden. You know, he'll sit out on his chair just looking over his garden and listening to his plants and seeing them and feeling what they need, and then he'll take appropriate action to do that. And I know a lot of you guys are new. You guys may think I'm crazy and Tino's crazy for talking to the plants, and I talk to the plants and listen to the plants and all this stuff. But you know what? One day it's going to click. You're going to be in your garden. Your plant's going to tell you, John, I need water. John, hey, put some of this on me, or put some of that on me, or hey, I need more sun, I need less sun, whatever. They're going to tell you some stuff, and then all your job is to do as a gardener is to react and give them what they really need, not what you think they need. And I think this causes a lot of challenges in gardening. Oh, my plants need water, and you flood the heck out of them, man. They lose their life because you're flooding them out, right? I mean, let's talk about that, Tino. You water very minimally here, right? You only water when necessary. You let the plants fend for themselves. I mean, why do you do this?
Because I have to water the plants when I start them. When I start them, I have to water the plants because I give them something to start, something, and then after a little while, when they go up, start going, I let them go to find their own moisture. I try to cover the soil the much I can, so keep the moisture in the soil, and they do well. That's all you need. You don't need nothing else. That's all you need. By covering the soil with the plants, and then you got everything. That's all you need.
So he has no irrigation system here and nothing like that. And I mean, this time of year in December, everything looks amazing.
They just give them the basics. You know what I mean? Give them the basics. And they do. It's like raising plants, like raising kids. That's the way. That's the way I see it. You see, if you want the plants to succeed, just let them go the hard way. You know what I mean? They're going to find their own ways. They're going to go deeper. They're going to find moisture. They're going to find what they need. So by giving the plants everything they need, so they become lazy. So they depend on you for water, for food, for disease, for everything. You have to fight all this. So let the plants to to find what they need by themselves. Don't give them what they need. They're going to find it. Give them the basic. That's the basic thing, moisture. That's all they need. And the rest of it, they can do better by their own. They can do.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Like, right, my parents, like, they didn't give me an allowance. I wasn't like, you know, a kid that got all this money. I had to like go out and find a job and make money, and I think that's why it turned out pretty good. You know, I know we all know them spoiled kids, right? And they're just messed up in their lives because they've just been given everything. And likewise, your plants are similar, right? So cut that water off your plants sometimes. You know, don't overwater them. You know, I encourage you guys to check your soil moisture levels to ensure they have the proper amount of water, but don't give them too much. Make them fend for themselves and find their own water. Of course, this also depends on your particular environment you live in and also your soil. So I wouldn't want to say that anybody in Las Vegas should, in the middle of the summer, let your plants fend for water, because that's going to be a little more challenging than it is here in Houston. So the other thing, Tino, that actually we maybe don't see eye to eye on, because we have maybe different goals and values, which is all right, is adding fertilizers, nutritions, and worm castings, and even compost. Like, you add very little, if any, compost. I think you added some to this, but all your beds pretty much you don't add any compost. So you want to speak to all these things that people put in their gardens and why you feel is not needed?
You don't need it because you need the worms right where they belong.
You need the worms where they belong.
They belong to the ground.
In the ground, yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
they compost. They're composting in the ground. They make holes. They aerate the soil. They help the plants. They do more. You see, by buying like a vermicompost and just spray them. You see, by keeping the
agree.
worms in the ground and take them out the beans, take them from the beans and put them in the ground, they do much better. That's the way they're supposed to be.
So I would agree with that. He says take the worms out of your bins and put them in the ground, and provided you have you know, the right temperatures year round where they can actually live in the ground, like here is no problem. Other places may be more challenging. Put them in the ground so the worms could eat and digest and poop where you need them, and they could aerate the soil instead of having them locked up in a bin. I mean, I'm definitely for that. And actually, I don't have a worm bins. All my worms are in the bin. I'd like to add some supplementary worm castings for my beds for additional fertility, but I would agree the best is actually having the worms in the bin.
Another thing is, you got the castings. You see the plants, every plant, the worms, they make tunnels under the soil.
Worms make the tunnels.
Make tunnels. On the tunnels, they find castings. The plants, they find the root plants. The plants, the roots, they follow the tunnels. So they don't have to penetrate the hard soil. So they build a very strong root system. By building a very strong root system, you're building a beautiful plant, a healthy and beautiful plant. The roots, like you have to have a strong feet to run a marathon or something. You know, you can't do it without strong feet. You can't have a healthy plants without healthy roots. The worms, that's very important for the worms to be on the ground where your plants are, and always leave like some kind, like a leaves, you know, dead leaves. When you cut your plants, just cut them, don't pull them out. Leave the rest of the
roots under the ground.
To die, so you feed the worms.
Right.
They can, sometimes on this ground right here, sometimes I got 5 worms like this big.
Wow.
Laraworm, I'm talking about laraworms. By not tilling the soil, you see they're building like a tunnel system. They're building their own system. And by tilling the soil, you're cutting everything.
You cut the worms up, you cut everything. The soil,
that's very important.
Nutrients.
That's very important for the plants. To have open tunnels underneath. So
tunnels,
they're building.
It also causes aeration too.
They find food in the tunnels. They find oxygen. They find. And they can build a very strong root system. And that's what you need. That's the basic. That's the most important thing for any plant.
I mean, I totally agree with Tino on this fact. The worms belong best in your beds. That's the best place for them, and they do a lot of things in the beds as nature would want them to, so your plants could thrive.
By buying like a bag of vermicompost and throw them on the plants, and throw them on your bed, it's not going to do nothing.
Well,
it's do something, but you're missing the whole point. The whole point is.
I agree with the worm castings on the top of the bed mixed in. It's going to help. Now, some worm castings are better than others because some worm castings may have worm casting eggs. So now actually you're putting the eggs in the worm castings in the bed, so now the worms could hatch at the same time. But anyways, we pretty much agree on the whole worm situation. Let's talk about something maybe that we don't maybe see eye to eye on. The rock dust. So what do you think about the rock dust, you know?
What's the rock dust?
Rock dust, the ground up rocks.
we're made of rocks. This plant reserve is made by rocks, by minerals. So you don't have to bring from, you don't have to go dig to the ocean floor for the green sand or lava rocks or something. You bring, you know what I mean? You got everything when you need when you soil. You got everything you need. It's not accessible to your plants because the way you garden, the way you cultivate your plants, it's not accessible. And then you have to bring all this stuff. Plus, it's a money, it's a business, there's a lot of things involved. So, you just put all this on the side and just throw seeds on the ground. You see what happens, and then you learn from there. Your next time is going to be you're going to go better and better and better all the times, and you're going to end up with something like you don't have to do nothing. You don't have to bring nothing from outside. You always have something. Plants and vegetables, any kind of vegetables. I can grow pretty much everything. I have no problem to grow out everything, and without bringing anything, without bringing nothing. So it's good for, you know what I mean, it's good for the nature, it's good for everybody. It's good for your health, it's good for you, it's good for your money, it's good for your pocket, it's good for everything. Plus, you got the top quality vegetables. You know, by doing less, you got much more. That's the point. Everybody's missing. By doing more, you got less. That's the way it works in the vegetables. It doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't work in the other things. You know what I mean? But the garden, that's the way it works. By doing less, you got more.
So yeah, I mean, definitely. This is Tino's opinions about this topic, and maybe many of you guys too. You know, I mean, I get a lot of flack by all the stuff I buy to put in my garden, right? But once again, just like Tino, this is his hobby. He puts a lot of time and love into his garden. I put, you know, some time and, you know, some money and products into my garden, which I believe are going to help me. And even if it's just psychologically that my food is healthier and I'm eating healthier food in my mind, it's still helping me, right? Even if I'm wasting money unnecessarily. You know, based on the research I've done and my trials and experiments I've done, I believe some of the things that I add actually are helpful to my garden to create higher quality food. And not to say that he's not growing amazing food here, because he absolutely is. The thing to remember is that there's many ways to garden. Some soils are more nutritious than others, and you can't just say, oh, the guy Tino doesn't grow with anything. If you guys live next door to Tino and grow just like he does, guess what? You're gonna have the same remarkable success that he does, because you're gonna be in the same soil, the same climate, the same environment. But unfortunately, I know a lot of you guys live in Australia, the UK, maybe you live in Georgia, maybe you live in Maine. You know, things vary a lot. So then you have to like maybe kind of learn how to do things a little bit differently. And that's all right. You know, I'm here to just share with you guys what different people are doing. So Tino, let's talk about something that we'd probably both agree with, chemical fertilizers. What do you think about chemical fertilizers?
We already see that. You see young kids with a lot of problems, health problems. We see a lot of, you know, it's going like something like it's like a disease. You got disease, you got problems everywhere. So we have to go back. I think you know better than anywhere else. You know about this better, about health. You got by top quality healthy food. By consuming top quality healthy food, you got, you know what I mean, you got your health, you got your, and I think you know better than anybody else about this. And you contaminate the soil. You contaminate your life, your soil, and everything. Your food, yourself. You have to leave the plant. The plant is smart enough. The seed, a single seed, is smart enough. If it falls to the ground, and if there's the right amount of moisture, it knows exactly what to do.
And the right temperature.
And the right temperature and moisture, it knows exactly what to do. It doesn't need nobody to tell them.
Yep.
So you don't need to go all these classes and all this crap and all you listen to all this crap. You know what I mean? Just start by yourself. If you have a soil and you have like a little piece of soil or something, like a little piece of space in your house, and if you have a little farm, if you have a soil, you need two major things. Make sure you have a sunlight and drainage. As two important things. It doesn't matter what kind of soil you have. Of course, it doesn't have to be contaminated. It doesn't matter what kind of soil you have. You can grow pretty much everything. You need drainage. That's two important things: drainage and sunlight.
And the right moisture.
The moisture is you have to control that. You have to do that. The plants have to do that. So you can grow anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing, you know. It's unlimited. You can go anywhere. You can do anything.
Yeah, I mean, gardening really is that simple. I know a lot of you guys maybe haven't started yet. Maybe Tino and the way he does it for free or cheap just throws the seeds out, right? And look at everything behind us. Look at everything. He just gets all this. A lot of times he just throws the seeds out, covers it like I showed you guys in this episode. And he has so much food here. Actually, he has more food growing in his garden than I do in my garden. So, you know.
Yeah, you got to.
But anyways, Tino, I got to get going here because I'm actually running late for dinner. But if some people in the Houston area, they don't want to start their own seeds, like I showed you guys how to do it today, and you want to get some of Tino's healthy transplants, how can somebody get a hold of you and even buy their own greens and things if they're looking for lettuce, because you have so much extra that you offer actually at a very affordable prices, whether it's the vegetables or the plants to people?
They can come to I'm going to the market, the Richmond, close to the.
So the Urban Harvest Farmers Market on Richmond on Saturday mornings.
Saturday morning, and Sunday I go to the East End Market, East End on Navigation Street.
On Sunday he goes to the East End Market.
We sell we sell lettuce, healthy lettuce, and we sell transplants.
So if somebody wanted to come here to buy it from you, would you do that so they could call you up? Or no? So what is your phone number so people can call you?
281-808-0623.
All right, if you didn't get that, hit the replay button to listen to him again. So yeah, I got to get running here. I'm running late today. My girlfriend's gonna be mad. I'm always late when I'm making videos. But I hope to come back to visit Tino again, because I only showed you guys a fraction of what he does here. He wants to actually make me a salad, because he has a whole new way of preparing his food as well as growing it. And there's so much I could learn from this guy, even though I know a lot. You know, you could always learn more, and I want to encourage you guys to keep an empty teacup, half empty teacup, so you could always learn more. I'm sure you guys learned a few things in this episode. Post your comments and questions down below. Next time I come back for Tino, I'll be sure to ask him some of them. Also, I want to encourage you guys to use some of the things. What's the favorite thing in this episode you guys saw? I learned so many things just on my couple hours I've been here today. This is so amazing, and I'm glad I was able to come out. So thanks, Tino, for letting me come out today, man.
Thank you too. Thank you very much.
And so yeah, if you guys enjoyed this episode, want me to come back to Tino's, give me a thumbs up. If I get 1,000 thumbs up, man, for sure next time I'm gonna come back and check him out. I want to be sure to check him out in the summertime when he's got a summer garden. I didn't even get to see some of his pictures because he wanted to show me what his summer garden looked like, which is probably raging, if it's any indication of what his winter garden is looking like. Also, be sure to click the subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on any of my new and upcoming episodes I'm coming out of every 3 to 4 days. You never know where I'm going to show up or what you'll be learning. And be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 1,200 videos now, teach you guys all aspects on how you guys could grow your own food at home. And be sure to check my episodes for other episodes that I filmed in the Houston area, and that's going to help you guys out if you guys live in this area. So anyways, with that, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep on growing. All right, this is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. I'm here in my front yard garden, and it is now December time. And finally, I'm just pulling out my peppers and cucumbers. Well, what's left of the cucumbers. I've already started pulling out the tomatoes.